Now, I got asked if I could tie a needlefly. Now, needlefly is a small stonefly. You'll see them especially in the river. You'll see these flies. Well, I do them anyway. Now, when I fish this fly, I don't always see them on the river itself, but they're actually in the bushes, they're in the trees, they're even on yourself, because you'll see them. And if they're there, the fish at some point will have seen one and taken one. Especially if you're fishing, you see fish rising, not sure what they're taking. Having one of these type of flies work extremely well. Now, basically, this is an F-fly. That's all it is. But this is a pattern I tied. It's got a Claret CDC body. Now, I used to use just either a purple or a Claret thread with a CDC. Now, the reason I did that is years ago I took a photograph of one of these flies, and I enhanced and reduced the colour. I like to enhance the colours when I was looking at the photograph, and I got a lot of wine or claret colour coming from it, and that's why I used the body. Kept the wings the grey, and one of the original flies I used was deer hair. You can put the deer hair in it, but the CDC one works really well. It does. So give that, if you want to go, you can mess about with it, but this is a nice wee dressing. Now, the hook, or the sizes I tied them on was 16s and 18s. Now, this is the hook I'm going to be using. This is the Full and Mill. It's a black nickel, and it's a size 18. Now, it's a wee barbless hook. It's a lovely strong wee hook, and it's obviously the right colour to suit the fly. You could use a standard one, whatever hook you have. It will not make too much of a difference, but this hook suits it. So we get it into the vise, tighten up. Thread, I'm using actually the uni thread, and they call it an iron grey in 8/0. You could use a black if you want, or just a grey or whatever colour. So wax the thread, start at the eye, we come down. I'm just going to remove the waste. Now I'm going to slightly by the point of the hook. Now the CDC is just a white CDC dyed. Just looking for a nice fine feather. There we are. Well, a fine stem anyway. These are white CDC feathers that I bought, and I've used a Vineyard Claret dye. Now, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it looks very purple claret. That's the way it comes out, so that's why I like it. And so what I do is hold it, base of the feather, and I come round with a single turn, and then I pull into the tip to there, and then I wind up. Give yourself 2 to 3 mil, a good 3 mil anyway, I would say more than 2, to give yourself your thorax area. And then just wind your CDC feather up. Now you could wind it over some varnish or some super glue so that it makes it a wee bit stronger, but the stem of the CDC feather is strong enough to hold it. 2 or 3 turns, making sure it's secure, trim away the waste. Now what I'm going to do here, again, make sure there's wax on my thread. Take the excess away by running your fingers through. Tidy this area up, because your wing will sit better if you do that. Now obviously with it being a CDC body like that, it's not the best body looking, but it helps to float the fly. Now I've got the small CDC feathers. Now I've got 2 feathers. This is a mallard duck. It's the natural grey CDC feathers. I'm just going to line up the tips, the natural curve of the feather. I'm just going to pull the fibre in like that. You're looking just like the bow, or if you're going to measure it, you're looking maybe twice the body length. Just tie in there, nice and tight, 3 or 4 turns, and head towards the eye. There's a space there obviously, and you make sure you've got a space or a head length in front of the CDC. Now leave them at this point, and then come back up. Now I love using this. It makes a lovely sort of dubbed hackle, if you want to call it. But this is a pine squirrel on the skin. Now what I like to do is to mix and blend. I like to make sure I've got guard here, so I tear it from the tip, and then when I go in, I'll go in a wee bit and take some of the dubbing. It's just you're blending it within your fingers by pulling it out, and then you can blend it a wee bit better within your fingers like that. Basically, you've got a wee ball of dubbing. Get it onto your thread, and then wind, stretch it out, keep winding, forming a nice thorax. Don't be shy with it, and take the thread through it. Let me take a wee quick look. That looks fine. Take away your excess. I'm going to pull out some of that with some Velcro. So what I'm going to do here is to take that last turn up, and then take my thread to the eye with 3 or 4 turns. Just checking where things are at this point. That looks fine. To finish the fly, now it's a very simple dressing. I'm just going to put varnish onto the thread, say about a centimetre from the eye, and then whip finish, and that will lock in your whip finish. Hold out the waste ends of the CDC, come up 3 or 4 turns, tighten up, then trim away the thread. Get our CDC now, but like an elk hair caddis, I'm going to just trim it, like an angle, maybe a bit 2 mil from the eye, like that. It's just a tiny bit of support, but what I do is I basically push it back with my finger. But to thin out the dubbing here, because it is a bit bulky like, so I usually brush it with the Velcro. Mainly I like to push it up onto the top, bringing out the guard here. It's a nicer shape, so it does. There we are. And then if there's too much underneath, you can trim it, but that looks fine. It's fine with me. See how it looks, that's fine. There you go. And that's basically a tying that I like for the needle fly. As I say, you could put deer hair in there on top of the wing slightly. You could reduce it a wee bit. I mean, the option with CDC, you can trim it a wee bit. If you're on the water and you feel it's just a tad too big, but better than too big than too small. So at the end of the day, you can then work with the dressing. I mean, I'll sometimes overdress the dry fly so I can underdress it. It depends on the day and the water that I'm fishing. If you're fishing a streamy, a rough piece of water and the fish are rising, an slightly overdressed fly you'll see better. When you get into the calmer water, you want to reduce the dressing a wee bit, you can take bits off. You can obviously trim the hackle underneath so it sits a bit flatter. So it's just common sense really, it's just a messing about with the fly. But anyway, that's my tying a small needle fly. As I say, it's a small stone fly pattern that you'll see on the river, you'll see in the lochs as well. So I hope you enjoyed that.